Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So like we said, last week we did Spark Your Career. We're in Embrace Your Job. We're going to connect with the market and define your value. We're in the real estate expert gaining confidence stage. So the next one is going to be lead generation, then lead follow-up, and then the transaction. So as we stay in this, today's agenda is going to be going over the 6 core competencies of business. And I say business in that it's any business. So we'll dive into that. Recognizing your roles as a fiduciary versus functionary to your clients, reviewing the success system, and then recap ahas in your daily success system. So let's jump into the 6 core competencies. Who would like to read all 6? There's not much on the screen. Who would like to read all 6? Raise a hand or unmute. Come on. I'm not letting you guys off. Somebody's going to read.
I got it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Lead generate, capture,
I tried.
convert to appointments. Number 2, present to buyers and sellers and get agreement. 3, show buyers and market sellers. 4, write and negotiate contracts. 5, coordinate the sale to closing. 6, manage the money.
Great. Thank you, Darren.
Okay.
So, Michelle, I got you next. What what part of being a real estate agent excites you the most? Go ahead and type it in the chat. What part of this, what number excites you the most? Let's see what the answers are. One, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1. Okay. 2, 1. Okay. So we're all attracted to some different part of this. And I want you to understand that as you grow your business, some of you on this call are going to become a mega agent. And a mega agent is going to have an assistant, going to have a buyer's agent, may have some listing specialists. So there is going to be a time that you could give away some of this. But I want you to understand that you have to own all of it until you get to that point where you truly can leverage out and it makes either business sense or it makes sense because of what your goal is, as far as how you want your life to look. So I see people that leverage out a little too early, but it's because they got little kids at home and they want to be there. So they just give up money so that they can get back time. It's either time or money that we're always going for. And don't be mistaken, the buyers and sellers are looking for the same as well. So when we talk about lead generate, capture, convert to appointments, there's actually 5 C's, right? It's connect, capture, cultivate, convert, and close. Okay, we got to connect with them. We got to build rapport. We got to capture them. We got to get their information so that we can stay in touch with them. We have to cultivate the relationship, keep cultivating, keep building the rapport, convert it to an appointment, and then close when we're on that appointment. So those are the 5 C's that I've always kind of grown up in real estate with. But the first one, being lead generate, capture, and convert appointments, is your number 1 job. Can we agree that if you don't do that, the rest of the stuff doesn't happen? You don't get to go and present. You don't get to go and negotiate. So if we do not own this part of the job, we do not have a job. And yes, while you're a real estate agent and you're building your business, you technically are working in your business as a real estate agent. Okay. When you say, oh, you're a business owner, you're a business owner, employee 1. You are employee number 1. When you are able to replace yourself and you don't actually sell real estate anymore, people are doing it, admins are managing the transactions, and there's still money left over. That's called profit. Now you're running a full business. So you have to be the business person and you have to be the employee at the same time. And that, how many of us, let me see if you guys can see the board. Who knows what that is? Oh, you guys can't even see it. Okay, it's ESBI. ESBI. I see Nicole's hand up. Nicole, what is that?
I know Robert Kiyosaki talks about it. It's the 4 quadrants. I'm sorry, I'm eating right now.
That's okay. That's right. It is. It's the 4 quadrants, the cash flow quadrants. Okay.
Yeah.
The first one is employee. Right, everybody, we started as an employee. The second one is self-employed. So when we are working as a real estate agent, we're kind of technically self-employed. Then we go to a business owner. A business owner has profits coming from the business. They get paid as an agent, but they also have a profit. There's a profit from the business. So that might be an admin, it may be a buyer's agent, and now there's extra money coming in because we're running a business. And I is for investor. And, you know, everybody in this business is always attracted to I want to be an investor. Even being an investor is still a job in a way. If you're a passive investor, that means you got somebody that's managing, doing your property management, picking up your money, depositing your money for you. That means that you have a maintenance guy that goes out and fixes everything that happens, right? That's when you're truly a passive investor, is that you have those services in place so that you are truly investing your money in something and receiving a return without doing anything. So those are the cash flow quadrants. And as you develop this real estate business, hopefully some of you will experience becoming a business owner and potentially an investor. But understand, we are an employee of the business right now, which means we need to lead generate, capture, convert to appointments. Okay, so the next thing we get to do, I say we get to do it when we've done the first thing, is you get to present to buyers and sellers and get agreements. And so that is the goal for me, is to give you this Google Drive with all these presentations, because by a show of hands on the screen, how many of you actually have a listing presentation or a buyer presentation? Right now, that if I said email it to me right now, I see 1. Come on, give me 2 or 3. 2, thank you, Kim. Okay. So still, and look, I understand where we're at. We surveyed on Monday. More than half of the classes is less than it, is from COVID or since COVID. So just want to inspire you. Where is the I closed it. All right, Ashley, maybe you could bring it up on your screen and we can do it next. I just wanted to show in Commands, where you can actually find your listing presentation. Okay, so presenting to buyers, sellers, and getting agreements. There's an art to presenting to a seller and a buyer, and we're going to dive into that in future sessions. But even a buyer needs an overview. Buyer that calls you and says, hey, I want to run out to that house. Can you show me this house? You can still do a pre-approval. You could still do a lead sheet. You could still do the questions before you get to that house on the phone. You could ask it when okay, maybe you can't because they're going to be there in 30 minutes, but you could ask it on the walkthrough. And then you could tell them the importance about actually sitting down and actually doing a consultation. So my rule of thumb is that every buyer gets a buyer consultation, regardless if they're a savvy buyer or not, because there's things that we uncover in the buyer consultation that maybe even the buyers haven't spoken about. So we would get to truly have clarity and then set expectations at those consultations. Presenting to the seller similar. Okay. It's going through a listing presentation, but not having a presentation where that is the conversation. The presentation should complement the conversation. Okay. And I want to, some of you, at the end of your student manual, if you have not gone to the end, you have a conversation right here. So it starts right after the last chapter, I believe. It's called Lead Generation Conversations. Okay, they're not called scripts anymore. All of your conversations are just right here. How's the family? Are you still working at? Are you still enjoying? I'd like to share. So they're all here. New to real estate conversation, Ford. Right. So that's the content. So all right here. It's called the real estate expert conversations, lead generation conversations. All the conversation scripts are right there for you in the manual that are found on Connect. And so we're going to practice that. And for some of you who have Tuesday afternoons available, come see me at 11:30 in the East Monmouth. We are doing presentations next week. Okay. So it has to be a sit down consultation, whether it's on Zoom or at the table. Now, 3 is showing your buyers and marketing your sellers. You get the opportunity to show buyers and market sellers if you're lead generating and you have a pipeline of buyers and sellers, right? But that is part of the job. Now, could you outsource it? Absolutely. I will tell you that I believe that my biggest strength in the business came from the first couple years of me running around as a with all those buyers. I know I shared with you when we were here on Monday that my first year I did 21 transactions, but 16 were buyers. The next year, 16 were buyers. And the next year we had more buyers. But those first 2 years, I was pretty much by myself. So what happened was if I had 40 buyers each year to close 16, that's pretty much the numbers. That means I had 80 buyers over the course of 24 months that all saw an average of like, let's say 10 houses. That's 800 homes that I had been in just showing buyers. What then happens, and like Kristen and I went to high school together, I knew nothing about Manalapan homes except for I slept over, I partied in them, my neighbor, I was at the pool club. I mean, I don't know. I was young, I was a teenager, right? But the truth is, by showing the houses, because naturally your sphere, your business starts to grow like right where you are, where you're planted, right? And going in so many homes, I would sit on a Manalapan listing appointment. And I remember, gosh, it was Brian Stevens' home, his mom. And she said to me, gosh, Mary, but you know every single house. I was like, that house had dog hair. That house was in the cul-de-sac. That house was like amazing. That's why it went for so much. And it was like, wow, you really know the market. We're going to list with you. And she even called my mom and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much your daughter knows. But I promise you, it was from running around, showing those buyers, previewing houses, going to broker open houses, and holding my own open houses on other people's listings. That's what the first 2 years prepped me so that I am so confident when I sit in front of a seller, because I've been in so many homes. That was just 2 years of homes, right? So, Alyssa, what would you like to share? Or is Alyssa just Alyssa?
Sorry, yes, sorry, I'm driving home. But I have to like feedback on what you're saying. My biggest thing is with that I've noticed for myself is because I'm not really from New Jersey, I seem to have that issue knowing a lot of the areas, and I catch myself like choking up. And I know with like real estate, they say like you find to like get to know them, but with buyers now or trying to get buyers or sellers, like I feel like that's my hiccup that I'm having an issue with.
Yeah. So, I mean, the only thing I could suggest, I remember I had one client that she was moving from Arizona. Her name was Lisa Danella, moving from Arizona. And she basically had like the week before Mother's Day, which was some sort of break, to come out from Arizona and look at houses. So she gave me 4 days. We saw 48 homes in 4 days. This woman basically taught me Monmouth County because we looked at the map and she wanted to see. Now, most of you know this. Okay, this is where we went. And I remember the day because the baby was in the carriage and the baby is going to college now. But it was, and I told her everything she wanted. You're going to wind up being in freehold. She bought in freehold. She wanted a big house on a big yard. She only had a certain budget and she wanted, the size, she wanted the schools, and she wanted to be close to Monmouth University, all this stuff. We looked at Freehold, Jackson, Manalapan, Marlboro, Ocean Township, Asbury, Neptune. I don't know why we were in Neptune. We went up to Old Bridge. I said Jackson, right? And there was one other weird town. And at the end of the day, what did 500,000 buy you in each town? So different. Oh, West Long Branch, because West Long Branch was where's Monmouth University, and she wanted to be over there. All right, well, West Long Branch, we were able to get like 1,000 square foot little ranch on one of the best streets with a tiny little built-in pool. And in Freehold, she wound up getting a 4-bedroom with a 2-car garage with a basement and a huge backyard on 0.8 of an acre, right? But I would have never learned that, and I would have never known what each town offered at that price without actually taking Lisa Dinella around for 4 days like a psycho.
Yeah.
Right. So
I
I'm going
get
to encourage you, if Lisa Dinella bought that Sunday, Mother's Day. I brought my mother and she kind of helped me seal the deal. But I will tell you, if you don't have a Lisa Dinello, just go out and see these open houses. Just go and schedule
Yeah,
some showings.
well, I do seem to like start to like get to know a lot of, like, I try to do a lot of the same areas for open houses, so I get to know the area a lot more, like especially like where I live, but I do see like
Yeah.
that helps me a lot.
The other thing I can also share with some of you who may not have that kind of time is really get on the MLS and dive into it. So if you want to learn a city, a town, you want to know what happens, and we'll talk a lot more about this next week, but if you want to know, you just go backwards. You go back 10 years, you go back 5 years, you go back 1 year, you start looking at things differently, and the story will arrive. You'll see what happens in that neighborhood, in that town. And there's some really good ways to look at stats, and we're going to look at that. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so showing buyers and sellers, showing buyers and marketing sellers, that is the job that we get when we actually close on somebody for an appointment and they say yes to working with us. The next thing we have to do is write and negotiate contracts. So I'm gonna challenge you that if you have not read through the sales contract, you need to. You can find that printable blank documents in your KW All Access. Some of you may not know what I'm talking about, but if you go to KW All Access, each of you have an agent login. So when you log in, you will be going to the dashboard for your specific office. We are in by the Bay, so we'll go to that dashboard. And if you slide down, you will see some frequently used forms, and inside here are printable documents. This is where you can find, and it's a Google Drive, everything in here: listing for sellers, leases for listings, sale buyers. So your buyer contract is right in here, as well as DocuSign and everywhere else you can find it. But right here is where your contract is. So I would encourage you, if you have not read through a sales contract, you need to. You absolutely need to, because you're going to be presenting it to a buyer and a seller. And if you don't know what it says and you don't know what it's holding them to, I got to be honest, shame on you, right? So we're professionals and we do need to know what this contract right here. You don't need to know everything that the attorney review says, but you really do need to know this contract. You're going to write and you negotiate contracts. When we're negotiating in this market, it feels like there's no negotiating. There is negotiating. Let's talk about what are the things that you negotiate when you're negotiating a deal. I mean, obviously there's price, but what are some other things that you find yourself negotiating?
So I would negotiate the services you're going to give them, right? So that, or validating why you're charging that commission. I'm going to clean your house. I'm going to have it staged. I'm going to take professional photographs. And I'm going to market the hell out of it by doing A, B, C, D, and E, F, G.
Okay. So Nicole's talking about negotiating on behalf of herself to protect her commission and to show them why she's worth what she's worth. What about on a buyer side, when you're putting that buyer offer out? What are some things that you will have to put into the contract that might be negotiable? Negotiate the closing date. Thanks, Chris Waddell. Negotiating closing date. Closing date might look like, and here's the thing, guys. How would you know, and somebody answer me, how would you know what the seller is looking for in an offer?
Talk to the other realtor.
Call the other realtor. Hey, Dave, it's Mary Beth over at Keller Williams. Now, here's the problem. Most of you don't answer the phone when another realtor calls you. And then you got to follow it up with a text. This is Mary Beth with KW. I have a quick question. Can you please call me? And then they're like, no, just text. I'm like, I'm old. I'm 19 years. Like, I need to talk to somebody. I'm used to talking to somebody. And if you can get somebody on the phone, please talk to somebody, because it doesn't come across the same when you're texting them.
Yeah.
It might sound fresh. It might sound demanding. Talk to somebody. So you would, hey Dave, it's Mary Beth at Keller Williams. Look, my clients are very interested in your Stevenson listing. Can I just ask you a few questions? When is your seller looking to leave? What's an ideal closing situation for your seller? Dave, what might you hear?
We
Dave,
want to hear the dates and what the seller's looking for.
that's right.
Yeah.
But now I say, most of the time half of the time I'm finding, well, the seller needs to find something. Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. So we got to put in that seller needs to find firm relocation. That's a
Okay.
negotiating point.
Yep.
A contingency, right?
Yeah, home
Contingency.
The
contingency.
sale is contingent upon owner finding,
Firm relocation,
right?
right? Finding their new home. Now, here's the deal. If I said to the seller, look, this guy's coming in with $50,000 more. He doesn't want to wait for you though. So he'll negotiate with you. He's saying it's worth $50,000 more to get you out of the house right now. And she's like, get me out of the house. That's fine. 50,000. I'll go stay at some hotel for a month.
Yeah.
$10,000 and still pocket 40, right? So there's always something to negotiate. Don't ever assume that the seller or the buyer is willing or not willing to do something, or wants or doesn't want something.
Yeah, sometimes the buyers do a lease back too and have the seller stay there for a couple of months.
In this market, a lot of times. In
Yeah.
other markets, never happens.
No.
It was like, you'd be crazy if you're gonna let those people stay in your house. In this market, it's like, oh sure, yeah. Now, even with that, I have to negotiate. How many months are you willing to let that happen for? And in a contingency situation where the seller needs to go find firm relocation, how many months are you willing to wait, Mr. Buyer, while that seller that you're in contract with, because you're going to buy their house, is going to look for houses? Because you know how difficult it is. What if it takes them 9 months to find a house? Are you going to wait 9 months in this contract? Like, that's a negotiating point as to how long is your buyer willing to wait. If you say, look, they'll literally wait till next April. They don't care. Well, I'm going to say that's a good negotiating point. That's a very flexible buyer.
Yep.
Okay. Other things are going to be that you're waiving the appraisal, you are limiting the inspections. And I wouldn't always advise that, it's not something you have to do. And here's something else I want to encourage you on when you're negotiating contracts. Not everything is going over asking right now. If you know your market, you'll know if that house should be going over asking. There was a house I just sold last weekend. I didn't know the market. I studied the market and I said to this guy, you better take this full price offer, because you reduced this house already and everybody coming out of it thinks it smells, it's gross, it's this, it's that. So I don't know what you're waiting for. The guy sat with five days with a full price offer in his hands, telling me, what should I do? I got to tell my seller. I said, tell him bird in hands. What is wrong with you? You're going to lose this buyer. This buyer is going to go walk and find something else if you don't take this offer. He's already sending me new houses. Also, when you're negotiating, saying stuff like that to the other agent, this guy's sending me houses already. I wasn't playing him. I was literally telling him what was happening. Like, don't make me go out there and show more houses. This is a one and done deal. Come on. So there's all sorts of things that you can negotiate. The last thing, and the thing you shouldn't negotiate, is what?
Commission.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Don't do it. Don't do it. Now, obviously, what Nicole was talking about, we're not going into listing presentation. We'll do that. We're doing that in sellers. But that's a different story. When you're talking about buyers, your buyer compensation is whittled down as it is. I mean, I know some of you on here have probably worked for 1.75 this year at some point.
Yep.
I see it out there. I do want to advise you though. I'm a bold agent. I was always a bold agent. If somebody's going to offer me 2% back in the day when it was Foxton's was out there, I would put in my contract that it was 3%. Oh no, they used to give us 1%. So I used to put in 2%. You really can't do that. You don't have the right to dictate what that commission is to you, but it is a negotiating point. The commission is set once the listing is taken. So, however, I would always say, well, a seller wants to see a written offer, right? So what if my commission is more? You were offering me 1%. I only work for 2. I only work for 2.5. So that's what I wrote up in the contract. So that's negotiable also. All things are negotiable. Okay. I could tell you guys lots of stories. I know I can't get on my bunny trail.
Can
Okay,
you
go back.
repeat that? I'm a little confused. So if I have a buyer for a property, I could renegotiate that commission with the seller, the listing agent?
So it's not common. What I'm saying is when it's abusive, right? It's a 1% that's being dangled out there. That was when I would put in my contract when I'm writing it, and I'm not going to just stick it under the seller's, agent's nose. I'm going to say, hey, Nicole, I just wanted to let you know that if you look in the commission section, I don't work for 1%. I know you have 1% out there, but this offer includes a 2% commission out to the buyer's agent. So ultimately, that seller would look at it, and if it's a $500,000 house, it's going to cost them $5,000 more to take my offer than if somebody else were just going to work for that 1%. But I was just setting a standard. Now, am I going to let a deal die over that? Absolutely not. In this market, would a buyer pay it? Probably. So talk to me, talk to Dino, talk to your broker of your office if you have a challenging situation and you want to do something like that. Okay, so 6 core comment, coordinate the sale to closing. That is your transaction management. We did a thing on my morning call today where we actually created a little buyer flow chart. And we talked about everything that we need to do in a buyer transaction. That would be a smart way to keep track of the transaction and make sure that everything's happening when it does. Because if your buyer misses their date that they were supposed to put their their deposit in, they're in breach of contract. If they miss their inspection clause date where they don't get the report back to the attorney, they're gonna, basically just have that inspection for fun if they haven't already put that in the contract that's why they're having the inspection. So, coordinating the sale to closing is extremely important. A lot of agents think, oh, the deal's together. It's not. It could fall apart. So you guys got to stay on top of it. And the last part is managing the money. There's a really good point in here that if the seller knew that you don't know how to manage your money, do you really think that they'd be hiring you? Like, do you think that they would honestly list with you their biggest asset to get them the most amount of money and you don't manage your money?
No.
There
Nope.
has to be an awareness of money. Okay. I have a great class called The Path of Money. We teach it. There is a budget model. The transaction spreadsheet. There is a budget model. If you go to, and I'm going to send these links to you as a follow-up. What I have here is I have the MREA in PDF. So those of you who wanted the red book, I have it right here in PDF for free. The other thing is if you go to the book writing site, which is Keller Inc. Actually, you put that in the chat, Keller Inc. If you go to the book writing site, you'll see here, you can order books through here. But my point of coming here is that in the resources tab, you will see under the Millionaire Real Estate Agent some of the models. See the economic model exercise and the chart of accounts. Chart of accounts 2020 is a beautiful Excel of all the itemized expenses that the Red Book categorizes for agents. Okay, so there's the sale income, the listing income, then the expenses that come in marketing, salaries, space. And so it's a really great rundown, and you'll look at it and go, gee, I don't spend any of this. And it's okay because you're just starting, but understand if you don't spend any of that on yourself, Yolanda, what does Barry say? You got to spend money to make money, right? I say, whose money? Whose money we spending, right? So we also have to make money to spend money. So I want you to understand it's red light, green light with expenses, and it's lead with revenue. The easiest thing you can go do is get a couple of listings, get a couple sales, get them going, have a couple things close, and boom, you got some money to work a budget with. Guys, an average closing in our market centers is about 10, 12, 15,000 in some market centers. But let's just call it 10,000, right? get a listing, get a couple buyers under contract, boom, that's $30,000. Now, when those things close, now you've earned the right to go give yourself a little budget. How much money will you spend on yourself every single month? Maybe it's in marketing, maybe it's in social media stuff, maybe it's in photos, maybe it's in print. I don't know. Happy to do some one-on-ones with you guys. But the budget is absolutely important, because do you get me on that? Like, a seller is going to sit there and give you a $500,000 asset to go sell, and you don't even know how much money you have in your bank account right now. And I was there. I was there. I wouldn't even look at it. I'm like, I don't want to look. Who's had that painful? I don't even want to look. I don't even want to look. I don't know what it looks like. It's just much better. I could swipe and go, and we're good to go. But as you are in business, you cannot operate that way. Okay. You cannot operate that way if you have some big goals. So mindset matters. And I hope these tips and these tools are good for you guys. I hope these like little shares are helpful, that maybe you didn't even know some of this stuff was there. So mindset matters. The KW belief system, the 6 personal perspectives, they all come into this. And maintaining a mindset focused on being service-based, and being a servant leader. Somebody go ahead and read what's on the, Michelle. Michelle, can you please read what is on the screen?
Okay. To achieve your highest potential, these 6 core competencies must be done consistently, done well.
Consistently and done well, which means we practice, and we don't just, like, I love that. Like, we want to get on stage and it's going to look all perfect, but we haven't practiced. So you're going to sit in front of a seller or a buyer and you're going to botch it up. It's going to cost you $10,000. It's going to be an expensive lesson. Or you could just find an accountability partner and practice your scripts and your conversations and your presentations, so that when you get out there, you're like, oh, that like flew off my tongue. The reason why I have so many like little stories, I've done this class so many times that I'm like, it reminds me of, oh, this class and that class and what I said this time. So how long does it take a buyer or seller to sign a contract for a sale or for a listing? How long do you think it takes somebody to sign, for you to win that client over, for them to either sign the listing or sign a buyer contract with you?
All depends on the market and where. And it's going to vary.
10 minutes, Joseph says. 10 minutes. That's the Staten Island side, right? 10 minutes. You're right, though. It depends on the motivation. It could be that you see the opportunity to close and they're signing right there. The urgency of a buyer who's got a 19-day-old saying, I need a house, like, get me a house like tomorrow. My wife is, and you get them a house that weekend. It could be anywhere from 1 day to 60 days. So the truth is, you have to be lead generating, because even the guy that you think is going to list with you today or next week may still take 2 months to list. But you also need to know when you go in for the attack and when you actually close. And how long does it take a transaction to close and for you to get paid from the time that you put it together?
30, 45 days.
30, 45 days, sometimes 60 days. If they have the contingency with the seller who needs to relocate, it could be 90 days. But it doesn't have to be. If you work diligently, I know myself and a couple other people, we have some, domino ones that they're just moving along real fast, because we've set the expectations to the buyers and the sellers, so that when it was go time, they're like, okay, coach, what's next? And I just shoot out a list, get the deposit in by this, get the inspection in by this, the appraisal needs to be done because mortgage commitment is due by this, and we're closing this day. They're like, okay, all right, I got it. Now, if you don't do that with them, they get out of review and they're like looking around like, okay, who's gonna hire the inspector? Bro, you are, and you got to pay that bill. Yeah, right now. 2 things they have to pay for, guys. And always when you're working with buyers, I tell them, you got the money for the inspection, you got the money for the appraisal, right? Because you're going to have both of those in the next couple of weeks. And you're not going to get them back if this deal doesn't go through. Okay? All right. So we set the expectation. So when that link comes out and they got to pay for it, they pay it. So here's what I'll share with you on this. There is a page in that red book on page 188 called The 4 Laws of Lead Generation. You know, Gary Keller says you have to, let me see if I still have it up. It's right here. You have to build a database. You have to feed it every day. You have to communicate with it in a systematic way, which is command, touch systems, regular calls, quarterly calls, twice a year calls, annual client party, and you have to service all the leads that come your way. No matter what they are, no matter if you think they're a waste of time or if they're really not serious, you need to service it because you never know what piece of business can come from it next. Okay, so ahas. Ahas about your 6 competencies. And when you break it down that way, that is your job description. That is the job description. Those 6 things right there. If you're doing anything outside of that, like education right now, that's learning. You still need to do that, but it doesn't count. It doesn't count inside the job description. Right? If some of you say, well, I do open houses. Great. Where do we put open houses in? Lead generate. Does it work for you though? Do you connect with people? If you're not getting leads from it, then maybe it's not working. Okay, so move to the next section. So the next section is about functionary versus fiduciary. We're going to kind of go through this a little quick because I think this is pretty simple. You guys tell me, do you understand what functionary versus fiduciary means? Anybody want to share what you believe functionary versus fiduciary service to our buyers or sellers, what that might mean, the difference of it? Okay. Well, functionary is function based. Function is tasks, right? So you can write a contract. It's almost like a transaction broker. You can write a contract. You can go ahead and show a house, open up a lockbox. Great. That's functionary. We all are functionary. But fiduciary is where that client's best interests are our best interests. We put the client's needs before ours, and we truly come from a servant leader position with them. Okay. Your role is you're expected to be functionary. Fiduciary is how you show care and empathy to your client as well in the transaction. What else do you think happens when functionary versus fiduciary shows up? I'm sure some of us work with some functionary agents on the other side of the deal. What happens?
I think that when you get to the fiduciary, you get more business because people see how experienced you are, how you care, how you're on top of things. Just they want to work with you more.
Going a little bit above and beyond, right? It's really putting their interests ahead of all others. And here's what a functionary agent looks like. That we're having attorney review, we're out of review, all these letters are going back and forth. The closing is way delayed. It's like 2 months after we should have closed. And this guy is he's emailing everybody on the email thread. What's going on with this deal? That tells me you haven't been speaking to your client. That tells me you have not been consulting with your client through the last 3 months that we've been in this. If you're asking me what's going on with this deal. So as a functionary agent, yes, sometimes it happens even if the client wants you just to be functionary. They're not looking for you to know all about their needs, wants, and motivations. So sometimes you do show up functionary. But fiduciary is where I want you guys to always be thinking, how do I best serve this client? How would I like to be treated in this situation? It's kind of like the golden rule of real estate. So in the lead generating, maybe anticipating the needs of someone in their sphere who's considering selling their home. It could be following up with them regularly and just staying in touch with them about the current market because they're not ready to give you the lead right now, the listing right now, but they are willing to give you the business. Presenting to buyers and sellers could mean educating your client about the home buying or selling process, like truly going through all the set expectations, maybe going over the contract with them. Showing buyers and sellers the market, advising your seller to consider multiple offers. to have the most beneficial outcome. So setting a strategy with the seller and explaining that to them so that they've made a decision to go ahead and, take advantage of your strategy. Writing and negotiating contracts, use sound judgment and intuition when writing and negotiating a contract to garner the best results for your client. And that's asking questions to make sure that, you are giving them the best, what do we say, buying power. Buying power is not only with the cash, it's with the terms also. And then coordinating the sale to closing, partnering with your client who is buying a home to hire a trustworthy home inspector, a trustworthy loan officer, a trustworthy attorney, like really walking them through and hand holding them with your vendors. Isn't that so appropriate, Greg Wareham? Hello, Greg Wareham.
I think it's such a great idea. Got to partner with the right mortgage person.
Greg.
everyone.
I just feel like your big brother, like you were just watching me somewhere or something.
Timing's everything.
Timing is everything. So even with our loan officers and our partners, Movement Mortgage, Greg Wareham, they too are fiduciary. And here's where it shows up the most, and we'll move on. When you tell a seller or a buyer, it's not time for you right now. It's just not right. There are times where it's just best to stay put, or it's not the right time to buy for you. I have a sister right now who's really wants 3 children, just got married, and really wants to buy a home. And it hurts me to be like, here, you're not ready yet. We went through a full buyer consultation, but she gets it and she knows I care about her. So this is where I entertain the idea that she, show me your forever home, send it to me. We can dream together for the next 2 years, but the next 2 years we're not buying a home, and I have to be honest with her. And honesty also shows up when you're a fiduciary. Okay, because fiduciary is not gonna lie and not have integrity in that. You're just gonna be honest. And the way that looks even at a listing table is good, bad, or indifferent, you're going to hear from me. Good, bad, or indifferent, you're going to hear from me every week. And we're going to talk about all the people that came to see your house. We're not going to get mad at those people. We're not going to get mad at the people that put offers. We're going to get mad at the people who didn't even come and see it, right? So we're going to entertain all offers until you're setting expectations with them. All righty. So be the fiduciary. And now we're going to review some success systems. Greg, why don't you go ahead and read what's on the screen?
So nothing else about your business, here my screen up to, nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the number of leads you have.
Does that hold true in your mortgage business as well?
Sure does. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
numbers game. It's volume.
It's always a numbers game, guys. It is always how many people am I talking to? How many are moving to appointment stage? How many are in the pipeline? How many are in the database? Got to grow all those buckets so that we can have the business that we desire. And what I was sharing, I think it was Monday, and I know I shared it again, but don't worry about where the market is if you're hitting your goals. Just worry about generating enough leads to hit your goal. If you want to do 20 transactions, how many leads do you think you need in order for that to happen? And we can work through that. That's an economic model. We're not going to do it now, but how many leads will you need to get to 1 closing? Okay, then multiply that by how many closings you want to have. And so then you're like, how many leads do I need to generate? Well, how many seller leads and how many buyer leads? And break it down. A month, how many seller leads, how many buyer leads do I need to generate? If you work on a team, you don't look at that team leader and say, where are my leads? You say, how can I generate leads? Help me generate leads. Do you have any listings that I can call around? Do you have any open houses I can go do? Okay. So leads result to appointments, result to contracts. It's just a matter, like Greg, it's a batting average, it's a numbers game, and right now it just might be double the contacts for the same results. It's all right. You know what's going to happen? You're going to get really sharp at it. You're going to have so many conversations that when it loosens up and maybe there's less agents and maybe there's more inventory that comes, you're going to be a sharp agent that literally people are like, oh my gosh, nobody talks to me like that. Nobody talks to me like that. Where were you? Totally going to list with you. So accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. Nothing different than just being accountable. So how many of you have ever had an accountability partner? Show of hands. Accountability partner, had a coaching group where you had to do one-on-one scripting. Okay. I see Margaret over there with a hand up, Nicole, Darren, and some others, but not everybody. So what would that feel like? What would that be like to have an accountability partner? Well, it would just be like, I'm going to share my goals with you, and you're going to hold me accountable to the activities that I need to do weekly. And some would say that it should be some, big coach, some big, massive coach that's going to be able to move mountains. I will share with you that the best accountability partner just asks a simple question. Ashley, did you hit your goal this week? What got in the way? What are you going to do next? I got in my own way. Well, you're probably going to tell me all sorts of excuses and stories as to what got in your way. And I'm going to say, well, what could have we done different that next week you don't get in your own way? And you're going to go, you know what? I could have done this. I could have done that. Okay. How can I help you? Who has to help you? What has to happen in order for this to happen? Okay. So are you going to recommit? Great. That's it. It's not the chit chat. Hey, what are you doing? Oh my God, I got so nervous. I was on an appointment. Da, 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 da. And we're laughing and we're chatting. And it's not that. It's literally just, I want to check in, make sure you made your appointments. What happens? Why did it get in the way? Or you hit your goal? Great. How did you hit your goal? How about this? If you got on and this is what happens, you won't show up to your accountability call if you didn't do your numbers. And I know that. I will, because nobody's always hitting their numbers. And so sometimes we do need, not sometimes, always we need somebody's encouragement of, listen, you got this. I too went through this. I too had a rough week. Kids were homesick. I had to run. I mean, who's starting to drive their kids to school, taking their kids off the bus? I mean, that just threw me for a loop the last 2 weeks. I got 2 tardies on my record already. But all of that stuff. And at the end of the day, being accountable to, did you do the things that are going to move the needle in your business, move the needle towards the goals that you've set out? Because if not, then what are we doing? What are we doing? You got something better to do, I'm sure, on a Monday and Wednesday night for, an hour and a half.
Yeah, Mary Beth.
So I know, what'd you say, Darren?
I couldn't agree more. Just one thing, really, just to chime in 1 second. Is
Please do.
They help you keep the promises that you should be keeping to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We make promises to ourselves and we break them all the time, right? But if you really think about it, when you're talking to someone, and be honest, right? Because if you're not honest with the person that's asking you these questions, you're really hurting, right? It's like going to the gym. Most people don't go to the gym. You know why? There's no personal trainers. There's no group fitness. So you don't show up, right? Discipline equals freedom. And that's discipline, right? Being prepared when you go talk to your coach or to your mentor, guess what? That's where the magic happens. And that person that is going to care about you in your best interest. But a lot of the times, just like Ashley said, I get my own way, right? Because I make promises and I break them to myself. So that person is when you write your goals down and you relentlessly go after it and you share it with someone. Not only are they accountable, they hold you responsible to you, which is most.
If you don't have a written goal, you have to write the goal down. It has to be in your face. It has to be on your board. It has to be, you need to know it. Okay. And accountability, what I would like us to look at here is that you provide a safe place to share. You don't go into an accountability because you're going to get into an accountability relationship, but you provide a safe place to share. It's not like, oh my gosh, Ashley, I was in accountability with Greg Wareham. He is such a loser. He's not even hitting his goals. No, that is not what we do. And Greg, I'm just playing with you because you can handle it. But But that's what happens is people start talking. Why? Because why? It just, there's negative breeds negative, and we're not doing that. So create the safe place to share, let people feel comfortable and trust and share, follow through with the action items. If you say, okay, I'm going to email you that and we're going to follow up through email, do it. Texting is really great that way. Listen and pay attention while each other share. Don't just listen so that you're waiting to talk. And that's what we do on appointments too, guys. You're literally sitting there waiting for that seller to stop talking so that you could go into your next script. Stop it. Listen, internalize, repeat back. So what I'm hearing is, okay, gotcha, and respond like a normal human being. Set a frequency of checking in with each other. We're going to meet every week. Every week, Monday at 4 o'clock, you're just going to check in. 12 o'clock. It doesn't matter what time, just a time every single week. Dig deep and find out why you do the things you do. You know, Ashley, why did you let that happen? And she goes, you know why? Because the babies came and it was the babies. And then I go, I get it. They're new babies, right? But how much do you want to do for those babies? So then we have to say, put the oxygen mask on first so that we can do amazing things with these babies. Nephews and nieces, right? Not babies. She doesn't have babies yet. Respect each other and the process, create a commitment and stick to it. Be open and receiving feedback. Give specific feedback. Don't be like, oh my God, you were amazing. When you're like, that was not good at all. Ashley, you were great at how you told me this, and that. But where I didn't feel connected was this. Or, right? So this is when you're role playing and also have each other's best interest in mind. So, you know, be kind. Definitely be kind. So what I'd like to do right now, and I'm just going to do a 5-minute exercise. So you guys got to talk fast. And if you don't have somebody talking to you, just return to main room. There's a button that says return to main room. I'm going to put you in a group of just 2. Or, you know what, I'm going to do 3 and I'll give you 7 minutes. And I'd like for the 3 of you that are in the room to just go around and share your goal. Obviously, you can't hold each other accountable, but I'd like for the 3 of you to share your goal, even if it's very vague, even if it's just a successful year. But I'd like for you to quantify it if you can. But share what your goal is, and it may not just be for 23, it might just be for the next year, 2024. So what we're going to do is we're going to break out into the room. You're going to get 7 minutes, or I'm going to give you 5 because I think you can talk fast. 5 minutes. You're going to share your goals, and then we're going to pop you back out. And I want to hear a couple of, you know, amazing goals that you might have shared with each other, or interesting goals. And it doesn't have to only be about business. Okay. So let me see what I got here. We're gonna options.
We need 12 rooms, Mayor. There's 36.
Okay. Breakout rooms. Okay, we're gonna delete this. Delete this. I don't know if I could do it right now. Oh, here it is. Automatically. Okay, how many? You need 12 rooms?
12 breakout rooms, yeah. There'll be,
Okay.
I think there might be 1 or 2 rooms with 4 people in it, but
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so go ahead and share your goals. 5 minutes. Go ahead and choose your room. Those of you who are still on the screen, go ahead and choose your room. Adriana. Move to and 4. Go ahead to 4. Andreliana, I sent you to 4 where somebody is there. Okay. Is everybody else just not choosing their room? You got to click the button and it says the room that you went to, you're assigned to. Margaret, are you in a room or no? I don't see Margaret in a room. Margaret is in her own room. So we're going to move Margaret to 6. Margaret and Margaret, you want, oh, Margaret Sharkey, okay, so this Margaret here. And Greg, you have not joined with Dave. You just go ahead and join. Go talk to Dave.
I'm working on it.
You're working on it.
Alyssa just joined. Do you want to assign her somewhere?
Mm-hmm. Can you do it or I do it?
Yeah, no, I can do it.
Okay. Okay, well, Dave is on in here. Dave came back in here because he's looking for you, Greg.
I can't
Okay,
get
so
in. How do I get to a room?
well,
It
he j-
popped up and I ignored it. So it's user
uh,
error.
here you go. Let's see, move you to, we'll move you over to 11. Let's see where, go talk to them in 11. And Dave, I'm gonna move him to go talk to Darren.
Will you invite
David.
me again? I lost my invite.
Michelle.
Yes.
Okay.
6, you put me in. Oops, wrong.
Michelle is in 6. 1, 2, 3, 2, 6. I don't know how to put her back in 6.
I could just hang out with you guys.
What are your
Well,
goals, Michelle?
you can't hang out with us. You got to tell us what your goals are.
Oh God.
So whoever's
Yeah,
on here right now, you're in our room. So what are your goals?
Me first?
Or what's one big goal?
One big goal is to get this first house that I have under contract that's should be under contract in attorney review for 3 weeks. I've knocked on doors. I have possibilities. I just got to get them moving.
So why are you in attorney review for 3 weeks? Well, anyway, that's sidetrack. We're not going to get into that. So your goal is to get them out of review and in contract.
Maybe tomorrow, get them
Yeah,
under contract and get it closed. I
Okay.
have a woman I met on the street. I was picking up a sign from an open house, and how was the open house? I said it was great. She said maybe I'll be interested. I left her a note in her mailbox. I knocked on her door. She's my new best friend. I'm going there Monday for coffee. But it's like now 4 weeks of every week something else is happening in her life. And I'm like, I'm your new best friend. I was meant to be. So hopefully I'll have that. I have so many open doors and nothing, I can't touch them. But they will.
Got to keep it going. Got to keep it going, though. Got to keep it going.
Oh yeah.
So I want you to think bigger. I'm going to close all rooms, 60 seconds. Think bigger though, that beyond these 2 clients, right? What in 2024 are you really looking to accomplish? What is going to be that goal? Is it going to be a monetary? Is it going to be a unit goal? Like I want to have 5 listings closed. I want to, that's where we got to get attached to that stuff, because all of these people that want to have coffee with us for 4 weeks, that's noise, that's distractions, that's taking you away from going to find a real customer.
I agree.
Anybody
I
on
don't
here
know.
as everybody else is coming back, what was one of your goals that you heard in there that you liked or you want to share with me? Give it to me. Is that Corinne Kessler or is that a picture of Corinne Kessler? It's really Corinne Kessler. Girl, we should be at a party together, I think. You're muted though. I'm just laughing with you. So go ahead and unmute yourself. What's your goal?
Hi, Mary Beth. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yes, it's Corinne Kessler.
Yep.
My goal is to get back into getting all those listings, because
You're
that's
good.
always my thing. I'm good. Listing and
She's
selling.
so good.
I am. I'm going.
How many years were you the 15-year girl?
I'm actually I have my license for 21 years.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes, 21 years. Yes.
Fantastic.
So, and I'm the one that lists and
List to
sells.
last. List to
And
last.
when I
Let me
list and
ask you a
sell,
question.
double.
What could you share with everybody here? What's the biggest lesson that you've learned over 20 years? What would you say you to take away and give to them? What would you give them?
For the 21 years that I'm doing real estate, I think most of my business is from my past customers and the relationship that I built with them. And I've had people that have sold houses 10, 12 years, and most of my business comes from and I
Referral.
take a lot of my customers' interest at heart. Once you tell me what you like, I'm the person that's going to go out and put my very best, everything in it to make sure you get what you want.
So you're not just going to be a functionary. You're going to be fiduciary. That's right. So you guys hear that, and I'll tell you, every top business that I consult, more than half of their business is coming from repeat business, sphere of influence, and it's more like 70 and 80%. So the next exercise that we are going to go do, which is going to be our last exercise of the night, is truly where you should be spending a lot of your time, which is forwarding your sphere of influence. So let me hear two more goals that were out there. That it could be your goal, it could be somebody else's goal that they shared and you think it's really cool and you'd love to hold them accountable to it. Come on, two more
Sarah.
goals.
It's Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, both Lena and I actually had the same goal for 2024, basically to make at least $200,000 of sustainable income, because we would love to give up our day jobs and do this full time.
That's right. That's right. And you know what used to be like, if I can make 100,000, that's not going to cut it anymore. 100,000 is going to put maybe 50,000 in your pocket, which really isn't enough for some of us to actually leave the full-time position. So it is a $200,000 goal, and 200,000 in this business is about 20 transactions, maybe 15 to 20 transactions.
And I would like to be more consistent about my follow-ups. Because I think it's really important, like when you do the open houses, I follow up for a while and then it just sort of peters out. And I think I need to be more consistent with that. So that's one of the things I'm going to work on, because that's how you, if you can get a lead through an open house, then that opens the door. So you just have to follow up.
Right. The way that you're going to actually get them is through your systematic touch, which was what Gary said, you know, get leads, feed your database, service all the leads that come your way, and touch them in a systematic way. And that is Ashley's forte, which is using commands, even at its basic, guys. If you all don't know how to do a neighborhood nurture, I don't know, just Google it. Ashley's got a video somewhere. Let's push that out. Let's push out a video on neighborhood nurture so people know how to do one, how to enter a contact into commands. You need to know how to do that stuff, because even if you just use it for the neighborhood nurture feature and a save search feature, and that's it, it's still touching your client automatically without you having to touch it. Now you're texting them and you're calling them. They're really getting some attention from you. Anne Marie, you had wanted to share. I saw you unmute about the goals. If you could share yours.
I actually, I don't even want to share mine. I want Georgette to share hers.
Yes,
because it was so
Georgette.
awesome.
Where's Georgette? Unmute Georgette.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. So my goal is to have a restaurant, which I think I shared on Monday.
Shared on Monday,
I want a restaurant on my investment properties, and my goal is to make $300,000 or more. Because I also want to bring my family from Jamaica, my mom and my dad. So that is a big thing for me.
That is a huge thing for you. I will share, there's a woman up in Bergen County. Her name is Meena Patel, Meena. She's fantastic. And her whole big why has been all about what you just said. She wants to bring her parents here from India where they could stay all the time. And her biggest goal is that she wants to own her own plane so that she can fly family back and forth to India at any time, Yeah,
goodness.
see, Andriana, I see your eyes like, okay, Brazil, here we come. Now we have a personal jet too.
You know, the thing with me is like when we
Good, unmute yourself again. Maybe you should just type it. We're gonna mute her. Okay, so some feedback. Sorry about that. But Andriana was talking about Brazil, and I had put her in touch with the two people that she should reach out to learn more about worldwide. And so we were dreaming worldwide last week. But listen, when Meena Patel told me that she was gonna buy a plane, I'm like, girl. And then she comes up to me two years later and says, hey, I just want to let you know, you don't actually have to buy the plane now. You could do $350,000 a year and you get X amount of miles back and forth. And then you don't have to worry about where you put the plane or hiring your pilot. It comes all with the package. It's a membership. So I was like, $350,000? She's like, yeah, but you can fly as many people as you want on this private jet.
The plane is a tax write-off.
It sounded crazy, but you know what? It's not. It's not. I want you guys to dream big because you too can have that if you wish to. All right, so let's roll into our last bit of exercise. So choosing an accountability partner is really important. Your success system. This is your daily tracker. 10 conversations a day, 10 contacts added to the database, and then 10 handwritten notes. I was saying in my other class, is your bunker ready? Like if you were to, and I'm serious about this, if I were to look in your office right now and I said, do you have 8 touches? Like, do you have your grab and goes? Do you have, and I'm going to name a couple things like a notepad, maybe some pens with your branding on it. Maybe you have the sheet that you have, maybe a mortgage guide. Is Greg Wareham still here somewhere? I don't know, but maybe it's a mortgage sheet on what's going on in the mortgage industry with your branding. That's a grab and go for sellers and buyers. Maybe it's we're coming up to the holidays. There's like 100 and something ways, or no, it's like 25 reasons as to why you should list now during the holidays, or the 12 reasons to list before the holidays, something like that. That's a grab and go. Do you have that stuff? The pre-listing packet, we'll talk about that when we get there, but the pre-listing packet, the listing presentation, the buyer, do you have that stuff? Door knockers, business cards, handwritten notes. You might want to have gift cards on the table. So $5 Starbucks and the scratch offs right there for you. Ashley, what did you want to add?
did you asked me to pull up the listing presentations and stuff earlier. Do you want me to show them that before, like, we could do the activity, but do you want me to show them that before we?
Yeah, before we end.
Okay.
Okay. So is your bunker ready? Is your bunker ready? Like, are you efficiently working, or are you making calls and then you literally have nothing to send these people? So I would say, give yourself a timeout, go make some marketing pieces, go set yourself up so you have some grab and goes, print it out on color, have the stack in your office. So the minute you get off the phone with somebody, it's in the mail. Postcards. Some of you have postcards that you could order extras of, that, or you just order a postcard that sits there that you go, this is my follow-up postcard. The minute I talk to somebody, I just put this postcard right in the mail. It's beautiful. It shows them everything I want. Greg, you came back on. I was saying there could be a mortgage sheet. I think it'd be great if you just create us one or two, maybe 2 pieces, because I know there's a down payment assistance program that can really help buyers.
Yeah.
So that could be a vague little sheet about, hey, contact us about down payment assistance program. And then for the sellers, maybe we do, I don't know, you figure out how you'll be pre-qualifying people. So what's a seller benefit? So a buyer benefit and a seller benefit movement mortgage piece. We need that. Okay.
Okay, I got it.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. So those are the kind of things, a trifold. And when you go into command, and Ashley, are you going to open command to show them the listing process? Great. So when you go into command and you look at the printable stuff, if you were to do create and print items, you're going to see trifolds, bifolds, all sorts of stuff that you're like, I love that you guys go to Canva. That's awesome. But why are you going to Canva trying to create some Keller Williams, real estate posts when they're really already made for you? Every single holiday is made for you.
Wow.
Pre-made for you. So I didn't even realize it was there for 2 years. So I'm just like, listen, I've been there. Okay. So if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And that's what staying accountable with a partner, staying accountable with a coach really does for you, is that every week you're measuring hire or fire, right? You're your own boss. Are you firing yourself at the end of the week, or are you keeping yourself? And if you really are honest with yourself, what was the goal? The goal was to contact, let's say 30 people. If you guys are doing this 3 days a week, 10, 10, 10, 30 people contact. Did you do that? If you didn't do that, you're fired. Do you treat it that way? Oh, I did 15 because this got in the way. Really? How many weeks are you going to do 15 before you get fired? So start thinking like that, guys. Start thinking like that. All right. So family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Moving on into, where are we? Page forward is, you're at page like 2.13 in your book. Now, in the back of that guide are conversation starters, Ford conversation starters. So we're going to go into the breakout room one more time. I'm going to pull up what I'm talking about, right? So if you don't have this, Ashley, can I take this, and I think it's a download. So can I put that in the chat and that will work?
Do you want me to drop the PDF? I did it yesterday. I did it on Monday. I could drop the whole PDF in there for them.
Yeah, please do that, because you guys need to go to the back of this book, right? The bottom, and I'm going to ask you guys to use, and some of you may need to use the scripts and some of you might not to, but I would advise you to just take a look at it first. So we're going to use the Ford. That's an open house. That's the lead follow-up, transaction conversions. And I think it was before. Let me tell me to stop if you see it. Was that it? There's a Ford. Here's a Ford. Okay, so remind them you're in real estate conversation starter. You're reminding them that they're in real estate. So this is a good one. And this is on page C7. So C7, maybe for somebody like Corinne, who's been in real estate a while, she's going to remind them she's in real estate. Here's one new to Keller Williams conversation starter. That is on C5. Okay, so if you're new, maybe you want to go there. New to real estate, if you're a brand new agent, you might want to go to C4. So I would say C4, C5, or C7. I'd like for you guys to go there. And then I'm going to go ahead and put you into a 2-person group. And one of you is going to go through the whatever which one you choose, and then the other one is going to go through what they choose. No chit chat back, just be pretty quick with your answers. Let the person who's playing the agent just feel what it sounds like to ask those questions. Okay, so I'm going to role play it for you for a second so that you can watch Ashley and I go through this, that I am a new agent, period. Okay, so I say, hello, this is Mary Beth.
Hi, Mary Beth. How are you?
Been?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm awesome. I'm reaching out to share that I'm now with Keller. Oh, no. So we're gonna time back. Is it so good? Hello, hey Ashley, it's Mary Beth. How are you?
Good, Mary. How are you?
I'm so good. How's the family?
Family's great. We got 2 new little nuggets, a niece and a nephew that just.
I see that. Oh, they're delicious. So delicious.
They're the cutest.
Have you been spending time with them, or has work been getting you like crazy?
You know what? Because of all the holidays in the summer, they've been here quite a bit lately, but I wish I could see them more.
No. Okay. So then you're basically enjoying your summer, right? So have you been out on the boat?
Absolutely.
She's got her license too, right? You got your license?
Yeah.
You're driving the boat. That's awesome.
I'm driving the boat. The jet ski, the boat, all of it.
So you pursued the dream of driving the boat. Are you pursuing the real estate career as well in your own city?
Not really, not out doing real estate business. I'm just working in an office right now.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I'm reaching out to share that I'm now a real estate agent with Keller Williams Realty, KW by the Bay. And I thought of you because I knew that you would be someone to help me grow my business. Especially since you know my track record, you know my commitment to doing the very best.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Yeah, and I'd like to share with you my free real estate app with you. It's really easy to check out what's for sale, what the price on your street is, if it's in your neighborhood or any place in the United States or Canada. You know, I can send you the text link. Are you still at the same number?
Yeah, I still have the same number.
Okay. All right. Well, I'd also like to offer a real estate update on your neighborhood. Are you still living on the same street?
Yeah, I'm still on Pine Brook Road. Haven't left, so I'm still there for now right now.
Okay. And then you could also add where, like, you always said that you wanted to go out to, like, I don't know, Tennessee, right?
Nashville.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great. So, like, you can add additional neighborhoods in that app, in that search, that you're interested in, and even customize it however often that you want updated.
Wait,
All
so
I need is your
I could see like houses for sale in Nashville all on your app?
Yes, absolutely. And it will get emailed to you. So if I put you on this search, you'll be able to add Nashville. You'll be able to add other areas in Tennessee as well. They're called neighborhoods. I can actually show it to you. But all I need is your current email address and your home address, and I can get you started right away. I can start getting you to receive it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mind sharing that information with me?
Yeah, it's Ashley Capola at kw.com.
Thank you
And
so much.
you're welcome. And my home address is 167 Pine Brook Road in Manalapan, New Jersey.
Awesome. And I'm building my business with people I know because it's just so much easier, and I enjoy it. I'm impacting the people I know and the people that they know. So, do you know anyone from work? And I would change this. I would say, who do you know? Who do you know from work, neighborhood, or your church group? I know you're always at church. That's thinking of buying or selling or investing.
You know what? I actually have a friend who is getting married at the end of the year, and and she just had a baby, so she's already thinking of moving on to the next, the next house. So I'm actually going to send you her information.
Oh, great. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Well, just send it to me when you get it over. And I please understand I will absolutely keep her, I will treat her just as I would treat you. So she's gonna have impeccable service. All right. Well, thanks for taking a moment. And I look forward to talking with you. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna send you an email. I'll set you up on that trip. And if you have anything else that you need from me, please reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great catching up, Mare.
Absolutely. I can't wait to come down on the boat and see those little babies.
Yeah, come hang out.
I will. Okay. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. So
And scene.
all right, so I'm
So
going to go ahead and I'm going to throw you guys into
say
the
something
breakout. Yeah, go
before we
Georgia.
go. So I like the conversation that you have with Ashley. Obviously you two know each other like very well, but even though you know someone, sometimes you call them and the conversation obviously doesn't go so smoothly because, for some reason they're like, oh, I already have a friend that's a realtor, whatever. And sometimes even though they're in your spirit, they hang up on you. So for me, it's like I like to listen to like role plays and stuff, but sometimes I don't feel like the connection, only because when I'm doing it with someone, I know we're pretending. So in the real world, I find that it's very much harder to get it across, my point across to someone.
Okay. See, now for me, I feel like in the real world, when we're doing this, the answers back are like they're just more friendly, and I find it's a little bit easier than we kind of psych ourselves out. But if you are having that experience where your sphere is not as receptive, I might think you need to add some value and maybe make some deposits before we start asking for withdrawals. So we just take a look at that and say, am I truly adding value to these people so that when they call, they want to pick up the phone, they want to refer me? And if they're not, then I would tell you, Georgette, just get them out of the database then. Even if it's family, if they're not going to work with you and if they're not going to be you're giving your energy and you don't want somebody just to take it. So if they're not going to do it back and you tried it a couple of times, I'd take them out of the database. But there are times where it isn't as easy. But I would just say open the ears and less talking, ask a question. And there were a couple times there when she was talking, I was biting on my lip because I wanted to go to the next question. So do what you got to do to keep yourself contained. All right. So what we're going to do is we're not going to go through. I'm just going to give you 5 minutes because I want to get you out of here. But we're going to go 5 minutes, ask a couple questions to the person. You don't have to go through the whole thing. Use a little bit of the script. Get yourself a little comfortable. time yourself 2 minutes and then switch to the other partner 2 minutes. Okay, so just role play a little bit just to get yourself warm. We're gonna do a lot of this in the class. So Ashley, go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and let's do a recreate.
Hey, good night, everybody. I gotta hop on a call at 7:30.
Okay.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. How many are we looking at? We have 5, 10, 15, 18. So we are gonna go 9. Okay. Open all rooms. Go ahead. So go ahead and join the room that you were just assigned. Join, join, join. Join, join, join. 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Join, join, join. How funny is that? Did Barry and Yolanda seriously get put together? No, they're not. Yolanda is supposed to go to, yep, and Barry is supposed to go to room 6. Did Barry go to 6? Barry went to 6. Okay, Anne-Marie, Michelle, Hamisi. Okay, everybody's in and it's 7:36. Well, I like that you guys are all smiling, different energy. What'd you feel like in there? How'd it go? Barry, you were
Very
playing though.
good.
I
Gabe
appreciate
was so
Barry
much
playing.
fun.
Good. Gabe, what do you have?
It was so much fun, just like Jolanda said, and basically, you know, like having the interaction is like something. It's a good practice.
It's different when you're interacting compared to when you're reading it, thinking about what you're going to say to the person, right? When somebody's willing to answer you back and play with you.
Right.
Hamisi, what do you got? I feel like you got something to say. He's like, I always got something to say. You're muted, but you gotta unmute yourself. No, you gotta unmute yourself. Yep, unmute.
Oh, there we go. I was with Nicole and I kind of got cut off in the middle of conversation. I guess we took too long. But yeah, I like, but I'm not much of a phone type. I'm more of a personal. I like to look at you and speak to you and
Face to face.
Yes, yeah.
Great. So do you see how you could use those questions though when you're face to face with your people, right? And
yes.
Like, how you doing? I just got my real estate license. I'm so excited about this. Like, if there's anything I could do to help you, who do you know? And so some people are better in person, and that's why you have to know yourself. You have to know where is your energy best received for you to connect with people that then you can cultivate, right? So great job. Anybody else want to share their experience in there? I definitely saw a lot of energy coming off that. So Alyssa?
Yeah, I was actually me and Lena spoke. We had a really good conversation. We actually did also get cut short a little bit, but we did have a good conversation where I do struggle with that, like calling people, because I had done that when I first started. I was calling people and I was just like getting straight to the point, like why I was calling, and I never got really personable with them. And I was actually telling Lena that also. I was saying that I was just calling and I'm like, oh hey, I'm in real estate, just let me know if you guys are looking, like in that kind of concept. And I'm like, I'm not being personable. Like I haven't spoken to these people in like, some of my contacts in years, like went to high school with them.
I know.
And I'm like, I don't even know who these people might be. And I wasn't personable where they were like, okay, you're just calling me to get a sale. Like I was a salesperson we try to deny on the phone all the time. So I did learn from that on my own, like on when I was first doing it. And then I did get like a little more personable when I came to social media. I was reaching out to people, like asking them how they were. Just because I do get a little like nervous on the phone, where I could talk in person, no problem. But on the phone, I just like freeze up. So I was, telling Lena that you gotta be a little more personable.
Thanks so much, Alyssa, for your advice.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So when you when you gain more confidence and you have maybe some more experience and you have more stories under the belt, you look, Nicole, I learned to ask, how are you? And then
Yeah.
like listen, right? And just like really be a real person on the call. And maybe we don't get into real estate. Maybe we just build rapport. Like I was a guest speaker for a Colorado region today, and I had to do some role play, and I just did not feel that I could close on that person in that moment because I felt it was a big relationship that we were going to build. So I just invited him to come to something so that we could get to know each other. And to that point, maybe Alyssa and those of you who feel the same way, let me see that your energy in person is way different. Interaction in person is way different. That it's you just need a few things and then have an event. Have that open house. Hey, why don't you stop by my open house? I'm gonna be there. You know, that kind of stuff. Or I'm gonna do a little client appreciation. And maybe it's not paid for. Maybe you just buy one drink for everybody and then everybody else is on their own, but it's about bringing people together. Or it's a harvest fest and you're asking them to come pick up a pie, or hey, are you going to be donating to our food drive this year? So there's going to be lots of stuff that we come up with, creative lead generating ideas, but it does not always have to be just direct on the phone, warm calling to your sphere. So I love what we got there. Nicole, do you have something to add before I close it out?
Yeah, the door knocking contest. I love that because it put me out of my comfort zone. But having a reason, sitting with other agents and them sharing how they door knock. You have an open house, knock on everybody's door. Hey, I wanted to invite you to the open house.
Right.
I had a business I was leasing and I had it listed, and I was like, oh, you ever thought about starting a business? You got to check it out. Maybe you were, and
Yeah.
they loved it. Like they were really receptive to it.
And then your job is the other part. Now you got to put them in the database and follow up with them because they weren't waiting for you to knock on their door about a business rental. But are they going to move in the next 10 years? Yes, the most likely they're going to move in the next 10 years. If they don't move, do they know people that are going to move in the next 10 years? Yes. So the whole point is put them in the database, show them value, and then continue to stay in touch with them.
I
is
want to
Go
bring
ahead.
a note or something, because there were people who on the spot were like, oh, my son's looking for a dojo. And I'm like, what's the address now? I don't remember. So keep a notepad or use your phone, write it down right away.
That's
so you don't
right. That's right. Because if you are a good gift and gab, Nicole and I pretty much could talk to a wall. But if you are that kind of person, you might get away with conversations and you're like, oh my gosh, what is that guy's number? I never got I never got the information. So have a way to capture while you're there lead generating. All right. So you guys did some role play. The next thing you would do in your day would be real play. And this is a big one, is preparing your conversation list. Prepare, then there's action, and then there's maintain. So every day, if you're going to do a call if tomorrow is going to be your call day, tonight, think about the 10 names that you're going to fiercely call. Think about the 20 names you're going to fiercely call. Maybe it's 10 sphere, a couple for sale by owner, and maybe a follow up on an expired. But put them down on paper. It's called the PAM: prepare, action, maintain. So prepare the list, take the action. So you put an action to what you're going to do with each person after you speak to them, connect with them, and then maintain means go into command or go to whatever system and set them on a systematic touch. So you prepare the list, you then take the action, put them on the plan, and put them on a systematic touch. So then you have real play. After you do your role play and you know who you're calling, you hit the phones or you hit the streets or you go to that open house or you have that event and you show up and you say, I'm have 20 business cards and I'm going to give 20 business cards out and have great conversations and I'm going to get 20 business cards back. And then you do update the contacts. You have to spend time putting those people. And if it's not tonight, let's say you're at an event, it has to be tomorrow. It has to be whatever day it is. You have to have a set time where you're putting those people into your database, and always make sure that you are celebrating your successes. Okay, so as we talked about, we're going to be preparing for the next session, which is connecting with the market. I showed you some of the places where we're going to be pulling stats and what we're going to be looking at to have like conversation pieces, how we look at the numbers. And once again, I apologize for keeping you over. Anybody like to say any last minute ahas, want to share something? I don't want to leave anything hanging. Is there anything we haven't uncovered or haven't said that you'd like to say tonight? Okay. Well, then if we have nothing to say, I will say have a lovely evening. I'm so, like I said, I'm sorry I kept you a little bit later. I'll get better next week on that. And I look forward to seeing you next Monday night. Now, from now until Monday, I expect you all to have conversations. So I expect on Monday we open up with tell me something good, and you tell me I had a door slam in my face, but you know what? I was out there. I put a contract together. I went on a listing appointment. Corinne Kessler is going to tell me that she called and connected with 50 people from now until Monday. So I'm just going to put it out there. I challenge you all to just be excellent from now until Monday, and I'll see you back here on Monday. Okay. And look for an email from me, guys. Have a great evening. Thank you. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, guys.